Westfox. Today we're going to be talking about Indiana Jones number 5, a movie that I don't think anybody really wants, but it is coming out nonetheless, and things have been happening with it. You know, there's been changes. We document a little bit of the change in the structures, but in the last couple weeks, a lot has changed. The CEO of Disney has changed out from Bob Iger to another Bob, and the directors have also changed. So we went from Steven Spielberg into James Mangold as the new director. And my initial thought is I'm actually not surprised by this. I think that Spielberg probably just doesn't want to work on the movie. It wouldn't surprise me if there's a lot of creative liberties that he's not allowed to take with this movie that he wanted to, or, you know, good or bad, you know, in the space of good or bad. So James Mangold is interesting. So you look at his breakdown of what he's done before, and his biggest ones to me that I think would interest people are obviously Logan, the more recent Wolverine movie, and also Ford vs. Ferrari, which I haven't seen yet, but I've heard it's quite good. And Logan obviously is considered one of the better of the X-Men movies. The only takeaway I get that from that a little bit is, please do not kill Indiana Jones. We don't need to see him die. No, that is my number one no for this movie, is do not kill Indiana Jones. Total big mistake. I know that Harrison Ford has said that he'll be the only actor that ever plays it. We talked about this last time. I don't believe that. The moment that an actor ages out or is moved out of role, it takes a couple years for them to do it, and they're going to loop around, especially in Hollywood's current trend of taking any franchise that it can and repurposing and redoing it. Just look at the more recent Artemis Fowl, where they're taking the character and just making their own character from it, not even really respecting the source material. So I don't really expect them to respect an actor's wishes who plays the character, has no, that I'm aware of, legal right to the characters or type of ability to hold on to it. So the James Mangold, again, is an interesting one. I think that the idea of a older Indiana Jones is already a big hurdle to face. And so I was giving myself some thought, kind of a homework, and going, okay, what is a mystery that would be good for Indiana Jones? Because in the end, Indiana Jones is really heavy about archaeology. When I was a kid, now granted, it's almost the same thing as in the space of it is, oh, X doesn't mark the spot, and then X always does mark the spot in the movies, kind of. But the interesting thing to me was, as a kid, I thought archaeology was a super fun, like action adventure thing. And then you learn in life that you're like, oh, it's a lot of meticulous, slow work, and which can be really fun and really cool in the right space. But as you grow up, you realize, oh, it's not quite the Indiana Jones adventure that you learn in the movies. So with the new director, I expect there to be more changes to script. I go with my original theory that the movie will be delayed again. And I think that the real question comes to is what is the adventure and what is the archaeological mystery that they're solving? And I think that the kind of religious elements of the first ones grounded the story, both being actually things in history. So I was looking through and going, okay, what would I potentially think would be interesting mysteries in the world? And there's not a lot of, at least to me, interesting or strong ones. The big one to me that stands out, and it's a tricky one to go down because it kind of falls down the Crystal Skull path of like ancient super advanced civilization, and that'd be the mystery of Atlantis. It's both a super cool mystery of, you know, the past, but at the same time, I don't know how far you can commit to that as either, oh, they're super advanced, they still exist, or here's the mystery, or what is the mystery that really takes it to the next level. The other one I thought about was the Voynich manuscript. It's that old book that has a weird language written in it, a bunch of weird drawings in it. I thought that could be an interesting maybe start to the movie where you could have that being understood a little better. The other interesting mystery that I thought might be cool, you could do something with the Loch Ness Monster. Could be possibly an interesting. Again, these are not things I'm like, oh my god, this is the greatest mystery ever. But they would fit into the timeline, and they could be developed in ways that are bigger and more interesting. there's another one, the Bimini Road, and it's that underground, or not underground, underwater possible roadway that kind of winds its way under one of the seas. I think it's the Caribbean Sea, or possibly, look that up for sure, but it winds its way, and that could be a interesting, again, tie into the mysteries. It's kind of like that Bermuda Triangle thing where maybe something goes from one place to another. Again, it's really tricky because you have to put that. The one thing that kind of ties into it is the important things with the good Indiana Jones was the adventure. You had the larger government facing off against the individual, and so that was what kind of made it. Indiana Jones was the one man kind of adventure band. He had his sidekicks in all the movies, especially the stronger ones was 1 and 3, but it was the adventure you're on. And so that's what you want, is an adventure movie that has some level of grounding. And it's not so much like, oh, everything is practical, but it's along the lines of, oh, it's not superheroes. It's not people being able to fly. It's not the fridge scene. That's just completely infeasible, but it's allowing to be a mystery. The other one is the Mary Celeste, the ship that left in 1872, and then it was just found wandering in the ocean with everyone missing, and there was no sense of, like, everything on the ship was there except for, I think, the captain's log. So I feel like maybe taking a couple mysteries and putting them together could be interesting. Again, I don't know if it's the best solution. Again, it's tricky because you're taking a character that now they have to be able to work inside the space at their age. They can't, when Harrison Ford was playing the character in his probably early 30s, I think, it's a whole different beast when you're in your 70s, and you have to write the character to that. And he's not a superhero either. He's just a normal guy who goes on really fun adventures. And I think that we're going to see more delays for the movie, and I also think that we're going to see. Wouldn't surprise me if James Mangold is doing a lot of script doctoring right now. I think there was a script, and there's been, we documented before, it was like 3 or 4 different writers on it, and that's a credited writer. So who knows how many other hands and fingers have been in the kitchen for the movie. And so I think at this point, it wouldn't surprise me that he wants to take some time to really go through it. Hopefully he's taking some time. I actually hope that he takes some time in the movie to really break this, put the script down and, flesh out all the little details, make sure the story makes sense, allow it to be pacing. Again, Indiana Jones isn't about so much the spectacle. You look at some of the great scenes is just the fight with him and the really big guy around that airplane, around the bomber airplane. And it's not a unrealistic fight. It's not like, he's not jumping off buildings and landing on stuff, and also, obviously the most famous scene, which was due to him being sick at the time, which was him shooting the guy who wanted to do a sword fight with him. So it has to have a little bit of comedy. Again, Indiana Jones is a tricky mix because it's a little bit of comedy. It is darker. There is stakes in the movie, and that's a hard combination to do with a character that's older, and if you don't have a plan. And so I don't know if they have a plan. Hopefully they have a plan. And obviously, again, the tricky thing is, to be interesting to see is how Lucasfilm handles James Mangold as well, because they have a history of not letting their directors kind of do what they want and kind of coming in, nitpicking, and doing a lot of, I would call, creative damage, especially in the Star Wars space. So this will be the first Indiana Jones, so we'll see what happens there. But there's been a lot of changes over there too, and there's a lot of questions to be had. And really, it comes down to is I hope they're trying and putting the effort into it, and not worried about politics, not worried about trying to do something that's current era, because I think they're going to be in the 60s or 70s. They might fudge a little bit just because they can, and make him a little younger than he is. But, it starts to become a lot more tricky because you look at their, World War II technology versus 60s and 70s technology was a big jump technology. I don't know if you were looking at it, which is the biggest, let's say 30-year gap technology for, 30s from, what was that biggest jump, technologically, but it was a big jump then. And so some of the same things that he could get away with probably in the original movies, he can't get away with in the 60s or 70s. So that will be a different change there. Other things I would say is don't bring back the sun element. That was just such a mistake. They really messed that one up. There was no reason for that. I think that the other character that I hope to see, if I can pretty much scrap every other character in the show, but John Ryle Davies, I hope they bring him back. He was so fun in the movies. He brought such a sense of energy to his role in there. As Sala, it was always great. I don't think the actor who played Marcus Brody is still alive. Yeah, he passed away quite a while ago. I did not realize he had passed away in 1992. So unfortunately, he's unable to be brought back. But I would say they should bring back Sala. I think that'd be great. Again, that camaraderie thing would be really good to see in the movie. And then pretty much toss out all the other elements. And the only other character that I would love to see, but I doubt it would be a miracle. To see would be Sean Connery. I have no expectations that he'll be around. I think he's almost 90 years old now. I don't expect to see him, but if they somehow were able to get him and give him a good role and put him in this movie, and it was, they gave him the script and said, this is the best script you'll ever read. And Sean Connery read it and he was like, I agree with you. I'd be really happy that this would be his last movie. I doubt he'd ever do another one. But if this was the role he came back to for one last swan song movie, if they brought those three back, I would say I would go see it just to see those three characters. And again, not just a cameo, actually in the movie, or at least, with Sean Connery, even if they gave him 10 minutes of screen time, something meaningful. I like that, and kind of retcon his death. I think he died in number 4. They said he died. I would actually retcon that. I'd be like, please, Sean Connery and Harrison Ford acting dynamic was so amazing in those movies. We'll get to it when we review those movies. As like I said, to me, the Indiana Jones 1 and 3 are must-sees for anybody who watches movies. But yeah, that's my kind of basic wish list. As more rumors come out, I want to cover more of it and get my thoughts on it. But I want to give a quick share on this and as this continues to change and this develops. So thank you for joining and have a great day. We'll see you next time. If you get a chance, please like and subscribe to the video below, and more content to come. Thank you.